Halloween from us to you, and on a very festive episode of Bear News, we take a look into some of the costumes you'll see in the shows UNC puts on.
And UNC may be Tree Campus USA, but it also has some spooky things going on in some of the buildings.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Gavin Burlack.
And I'm Ben Shoemate, and all of that is to come. But first tonight, a suspected case of varicella, or chickenpox, has been identified on campus. University health officials already contacted anyone who may have had direct contact with the patient, but it's always better to err on the side of caution. The best way to keep yourself from getting the disease is to get the chickenpox vaccine. According to the Center for Disease Control, the vaccine prevents almost all severe cases. Chickenpox symptoms usually begin a day or two before the rash begins. Those symptoms include fever, tiredness, a loss of appetite, and headaches, or just being a college student. After a rash develops, you can expect blistering and scabbing. If you feel you may have chickenpox, then you should seek medical attention either from your medical provider or Student Health Center in Cassidy Hall at 1901 10th Avenue. Now, it's important to know that a vaccine isn't a 100% guarantee that you won't get chickenpox, but you can still get sick, but your symptoms are likely going to be much milder.
Of course, you know today is Halloween, and the 2 months of Christmas start tomorrow with Thanksgiving wedged in between. That means we're now in the season of families getting together for festive meals. But that all can sometimes mean less than pleasant conversations with family and friends. An event hosted by the College of Humanities and Social Sciences Diversity Advisory Board aims to help you navigate these troublesome topics. Political conversations, questions about your major, and the dreaded topic of your relationship status are just a few of the topics being covered in the event called Pass the Plate. They've scheduled it on both November 18th and 19th from 12:15 until 1:15, and on the 18th from 12:30 to 1:30 on the 19th. And it will be in Candelaria, room 1100, both days. And they have snacks, but if you plan to come, you should bring your lunch as well as your feelings. Ever wonder who makes the costumes you see when you watch a play on campus? As Bear News reporter Madison Burns tells us, that would be performing arts students who are a part of the costume and design program here at UNC. Take a look.
The performing arts majors can have an emphasis in costume design and set building. They are the ones behind the scenes who make the sets and costumes seen in the performances. This program also allows students to be able to alter, design, and create historically accurate clothing.
So it kind of works as we can't build everything for every show, but we do try to build what the designers ask us to build.
The students learn to be experts in problem solving. For every performance, they have to figure out what can be created, tailored, or found within the costume shop. They must also make sure the costumes are durable, historically accurate, and easy to remove for quick costume changes.
So from colonial American costumes to the roaring 20s, the costumers can outfit the actors with what they need. Wow, that was actually quite a good job.
UNC has its fair share of ghost stories on campus. And as Bear News reporter Madison Burns tells us, students always have a story to tell about what happens when the lights go out at UNC.
The University of Northern Colorado has been named one of the most haunted campuses in the country. What makes us so haunted? Well, it's Edith, who haunts Webb King and Whedon. It is the janitor who haunts Harrison. Ask around, you will find a ghost story for almost every building on campus. This is what makes UNC so haunted. Harrison Hall gets its name, Haunted Harrison, because of the janitor that haunts its dorms. We are currently standing in the basement of Harrison Hall. This is where the janitor supposedly died. There used to be a trash chute down here, and when someone threw a brick down the trash chute, it killed the janitor. And the janitor, that's what haunts these halls. Many students have theories about what lurks and hides. Students have said they felt cold handprints coming up along their spine. Even students have brought Ouija boards down here and asked, "Are you the janitor? Are you here?" And the reply they got was yes.
Working the desk, and I got a phone call from somebody that was stuck in the elevator. And so, of course, I go to check it out, and the elevator was in the basement, but when the elevator was open, nobody was in the basement. So I thought maybe the girls got out, because sounded like multiple people. We had the technician come out, they checked it, but once the elevator was down in the basement, I pressed 1 so that it would go up to the first floor, and it never came. But while I was waiting for it on the first floor, I literally heard hello, somebody screaming from the elevator from inside.
Edith one of our most well-known ghosts on campus. She haunts two dorms, Web King and Weeden. She is also known for rolling marbles in the attic and rearranging furniture and changing TV channels. The costume shop on campus also has their very own ghost. This is the basement of Fraser Hall. Now, Fraser Hall is haunted by a ghost who loves to mess with sewing machines and steal clothing.
My most recent one. So I'm the costume designer for Cabaret that opens on Halloween, and I was down here pulling some extra costumes on Saturday. And I was working in one of our rooms called the box room. That's literally a room full of boxes of clothing. A wardrobe crew member from the show that was in tech came down and asked me where the box of suspenders was. And I was like, oh, it's right behind me. So he was working right behind me. I was digging through a box. About 2 minutes later, I figured he's still there. I have my headphones in, so I can't necessarily hear him. My podcast wasn't on anymore, but it was drowning out the rustling through the box. And I sneeze really loud, and I hear a man clear as day say, "Bless you." And to the point where I literally have to say, "Oh, thank you," and turn around and think it's Jose, the man who was behind me. And I turn around and he's not there. And this room is big enough to where I thought maybe he had exited the room at that point. So I peeked my head out. He's nowhere to be found. I was spooked, but wasn't super freaked out in the sense that he said "bless you."
From Harrison to Fraser, UNC has its fair share of ghost stories to fulfill this Halloween season.
Now, I may have to think twice before going into some of those buildings. But yeah.
That's pretty scary, actually.
It's very scary. I don't like spooky things.
Oh, man.
Not at all. A YouTuber is trying to use his milestone as means for change, and you can join him.
And it's the most wonderful time of the year, the time when we gain back an hour of sleep without any effort. More on that coming up next. It's been over 3 weeks since the release of the controversial Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. The latest Warner Brother addition to the Batman universe is the highest-grossing R-rated movie ever, making more than $850 million worldwide. Since the movie's successful trailer release, the stark red suit and green hair dye began disappearing off of the shelves. In an effort to engage the Bear community, the College of Humanities and Social Sciences Diversity Advisory Board saw the film's popularity as an opportunity rather than a laughing matter. The Diversity Advisory Board hosted 2 sessions of an open discussion called Joker, a talk about the power of costumes. The board invited students and faculty to discuss the film and its themes. HSS Student Success Coach Haley Blackburn co-facilitated the discussion with HSS Student Senator Hunter Miller Monday afternoon. Blackburn saw the film as a perfect vehicle to talk about some serious issues such as mental health and violence, while also providing an easy transition into the topic of Halloween and costumes for the month of October.
We came up with 3 kind of goals that we really wanted. The first was in that engagement, so thinking about timely, relevant topics and helping students engage with those topics. The second was to build that sense of community, so helping students feel comfortable sharing with their peers and hopefully leaving kind of this space with a sense of, wow, other people feel the way I feel, or wow, I learned something new and sort of learned that I could talk with my peers. And then lastly was just acknowledging other perspectives and ideas that are floating around, in a social circle, and having the tools and the confidence to kind of engage and talk about all these different things with each other. So my background actually was in pop culture and film, and so as soon as Joker, came out, it's like, oh, we got to talk about it. There's just so much, and I really liked watching just the students interact with each other and the ideas and conversations that came up, particularly when students would connect something to class or to their major or something that they heard on campus.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. And just a reminder, the HSS Diversity Advisory Board plans another open discussion titled Pass the Plate, a conversation about family conversations on November 18th and 19th during lunchtime.
How many subscribers do you have on YouTube? 10, 20, maybe 100? Bear News has 163, and my personal site has a whopping 29. But could you imagine having 20 million? And if you ever did reach the 20 million mark, how would you celebrate? One YouTuber recently reached that milestone and wants to get everyone involved in his celebration. The YouTube channel in question is that of Mr. Beast, which normally features the host, Jimmy Donaldson, spending absurd amounts of money or giving extravagant gifts to his friends, like, for instance, a boat. But now at the 20 million sub mark, Mr. Beast wants to raise $20 million to plant 20 million trees. If you spent time on YouTube in the past few days, you've probably seen something about the mission, as he has partnered with over 600 other YouTubers to reach the goal. And it's not just viewers of channels that are donating. Celebrities of all genres have stepped up. Elon Musk has even joined in donating $1 million to the cause. Donations are made to the website #TeamTrees, and the total currently sits at $10,263,186, with still 62 days remaining for funding. Now, I said that it was at $10,236,000, but that was, or some odd number, that was last night, and it's probably gone up since then. And like I said, you still have about 61 days to donate.
Well, this Sunday you finally get your hour of sleep back. You know, the one you lost in March when daylight saving time went into effect for 2019. Daylight saving time goes into effect the second Sunday in March and remains there until the first Sunday in November. That means at 2 a.m. Sunday, it will magically become 1 a.m., meaning you get another hour of sleep without having to do anything else for it. The country went on daylight saving time to try to capitalize on sunlight and save energy. The concept is to move an hour from the early morning, when few people are up, to the evening when lots of people are up. It supposedly saves energy because we don't have to use lights in the evening quite as early. Not all states observe daylight savings time, though. Arizona and Hawaii voted not to spring forward and fall back. The U.S. territories in the Pacific and the U.S. Virgin Islands also don't go along. But Colorado does, so be sure when you go to bed Saturday night, you change the clock back an hour early and enjoy that extra hour of sleep.
And the UNC football team might have had a bye week, but plenty of other teams put their talents on display.
Tanner Schwint has more on UNC sports as well as local and national teams coming up in sports.
Well, all good things have to come to an end, right? Like, eventually I'm going to have to take this makeup off. But in volleyball, the Bears are no longer undefeated. Northern Arizona University swept them last Thursday, but the Bears got their groove back by sweeping Southern Utah University Saturday. Coach Lindsey Oates says the team took the loss on Thursday well. They were tight, but Northern Arizona was tighter. But they made up for every mistake they made on Thursday when they played Southern Utah Saturday. The Bears pulled 7 aces and 32 digs against the Thunderbirds, completely overwhelming them. Now that it's said and done, the Bears' 8-game win streak is the best opening streak in Big Sky Conference history. They're playing tonight at Montana State University at 7. You'll find them at home next Thursday, November 7th, against Weber State University. Until then, there's still time to tune into tonight's game on Pluto TV. For the first time in history, we can say that the baseball world champions are the Washington Nationals. But the team that won wasn't the history made the series this year. The Nationals took the series in a full 7-game set with a 6-2 victory over the Houston Astros last night. The first notable fact is that this World Series is the first one ever where no home team won a single game. The Nationals won the 4 games played in Houston, and the Astros' 3 wins came in the 3 games played in Washington. The game also featured young stars setting records. Alex Bregman of the Astros became the youngest player in American League history to hit 3 home runs in the Fall Classic, and Juan Soto of the Nationals became the second youngest player to hit a home run in his first major league game. So a team's first World Series win, a home team not getting a win, and 2 young players turning in phenomenal performances. It was certainly a World Series to remember. After a couple of down weeks for the women's soccer team, the only fitting way to end the season against Montana was a draw. In the tough snowfall at Jackson Stadium on Sunday, Grizzlies forward Rita Lang drew first blood late in the 13th minute. The Bears later tied the game up at 1 apiece in the 35th minute. And no one saw who made the goal, so let's just call that one a group effort. Neither team could score in the second half, sending the game into overtime periods before calling it a tie. The Big Sky Women's Soccer Tournament is scheduled here in Greeley starting this Wednesday, so be sure to go out and support the Bears as they chase a title. But with the weather we've been having, it could be rescheduled. So be sure to check uncbears.com/schedule for upcoming matches. The Denver Nuggets are off to another hot start this season. Through 4 games, the Nuggets have cracked 100 in each of their matchups. Last Friday, the Nuggets tipped off in their home opener against the Phoenix Suns and gave the fans an exhilarating game. They shined against the Suns in the overtime win, 108-107. Nikola Jokic lost no time making his case for why he's the best center in the game with a triple-double. With that triple-double, Jokic passed Michael Jordan for 11th all-time in triple-doubles. After the weekend off, the Nuggets had their first back-to-back of the season Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, the Nuggets traveled to Sacramento to tip off against the Kings. With the same result, the Nuggets dethroned the Kings 101-94. Jamal Murray led the team offensively with 18 points, and Tuesday, the Nuggets got home through the snow to play the Dallas Mavericks, and that was a nail-biter that they couldn't get past. The Mavs gave the Nuggets their first loss of the season, winning 109-106. Jokic recorded another triple-double, giving him 2 in 4 games and 34 for his career. Next up for the Nuggets is the revamped Pelicans team in New Orleans tonight at 7:30. After a 3-1 loss to the defending Stanley Cup champions last Monday night, the Colorado Avalanche took the ice Friday night after 4 days off. And those 4 days off helped the Avalanche regroup to finish their first long road trip of the season. Friday night in Vegas, the Avs sparred with the Knights to win the last of 6 games on the road. The new guys for the Burgundy and Blue shined in this one as Nazem Kadri and the rookie Kali Makar led the team, winning 6-1. Saturday night, the Avs were back home to battle the Anaheim Ducks, and the Ducks got the last quack in this one as they walked out of Pepsi Center with 5-2 win. After 4 days off and snow on the ground, the Florida Panthers battled the cold to visit the Pepsi Center, and the Panthers roared in overtime to win 4-3. Now, although the Avs lost 2 of their last three games, there have been some good and bad through the first 12 games of the season. New guys Andrei Burakovsky, Jonas Donskoy, Kadri, and Makar are fitting into the Avs lineups very well. But then there's the bad. The Avs first line has to skate without Mikko Rantanen and Gabriel Landeskog for a while. Both are out with lower body injuries. Next up for the Avs tomorrow night against the Dallas Stars at 7 p.m. Now, guys, a lot going on in the sports world, but of course we're also right in the middle of Halloween here. Normally, I'm not the biggest Halloween fan, but I will say, Gavin, that's well done on the whole cat thing on my face. You did a good job on that.
I've definitely been practicing throughout the years, so Ben didn't want any makeup.
No.
So.
Ben is dressing as a stick in the mud this year.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
sounds great.
So that's what I go every year.
That does it for our show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
And remember to set your clocks back 1 hour this Sunday. And as always, have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.